Awesome. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Rachel Bukoski. I'm one of the admissions counselors here at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. I also am an alum of UMass. I graduated in 2012 with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in education. So I've been here for a bit. And I'm really excited to introduce you to one of our campus partners that we love working with. I'm going to introduce them here in a second. CMASS, and they'll kind of give you an overview of this, and we're going to dive into some questions. But these webinars, the spotlight series that we do is, kind of meant to be a little bit of an informal Q&A podcast style. We also record these sessions, so if you're not watching this live, you could be watching this on our YouTube channel or our webpage. So welcome. And like I said, I'm really excited to introduce you to this department today. And again, that is CMASS. So I'm going to let Wilma introduce herself and introduce the program. So take it away, Wilma.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us, Rachel. My name is Wilma Crespo. I'm the director of CMASS, which stands for the Center for Multicultural Advancement and Student Success. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm also an alumna of the university, class of '99, environmental science. And I am a resident of Springfield, Massachusetts, first generation to college. So it's really a pleasure to showcase what we have available for students from diverse backgrounds. With me are my colleagues, Oshia Richemel-Seed. I'll let her introduce herself and she can then direct it to the students.
Hi folks, my name is Ashia Richemel-Seed, pronouns she, her, hers. I am the Associate Director for Student Development at CMASS, also first generation Haitian American woman who is new to the Springfield area, just bought a home in February. So excited to be here and thank you. And now to our lovely students, I will go with Makai.
Hello, everyone. My name is Makai Pels. I'm a senior history and anthropology major. I'm also in the Native American and Indigenous Studies certificate program here at UMass. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm from Cape Cod, from town Barnstable, Massachusetts in Eastern Mass. And I am currently working as both an admissions diversity fellow as well as a programming assistant at the Josephine White Eagle Cultural Center. So I'm happy to share my experiences and looking forward to talk more about CMASS and all the programs that are available here.
Awesome. No, go ahead. Thank you. I was just going to pop it over to Joshua.
Hey y'all, thank you. My name is Joshua Badal Rodriguez. I am a first generation Brazilian Surinamese student here at UMass. I'm a second year. I am a microbiology and Portuguese double major. I use he, him, his pronouns. And I'm from a small town called Swampscott, Massachusetts. I'll pop it over to Rachel.
Go ahead, Aaliyah.
Thank you, Rachel. And hi, everyone. My name's Aaliyah Nisbet, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm currently a junior here at UMass Amherst. I'm also a first-generation student. I'm double majoring in computer engineering and sustainable development, and I'm from Central Massachusetts, right near Marlborough, Mass. And I'm also a admissions fellow for the Office of Admissions.
Awesome, thank you. So we're going to be bringing back our amazing students a bunch throughout this session, so you're definitely going to hear more from them. We're going to just kind of dive right into these questions. Oh, and I didn't mention, I do have another colleague with me. Her name is also Rachel. She's behind the scenes and she'll be handling any sort of, behind the scenes tech Q&A things. So you might see her name there, but she'll be behind the, oh, she's going to show her. Thank you. All right, so we're going to dive right into the first question, which is directed towards Wilma. So Wilma, what is CMASS? You told us what the acronym stands for, but could you just give us kind of an overview on what is this program?
Yes, so CMASS formed 10 years ago as a merger of 4 support programs that came together to share resources and knowledge and to continue the legacy of advocacy for students of color and to advance their professional success, their academic success, and their personal growth. And the program continues to do that. We've expanded our population of service to include first generation to college students, low-income students, foster alum. And so in general, students from diverse backgrounds, historically underrepresented backgrounds. One of the services that we provide that helps us to move this mission forward is our success coaching. And what that in essence means is that students are paired with a coach, and that person is going to be their motivator for the time that they are on campus. They are going to work together to identify goals based on the student's definition of success and what they want their college experience to be. And from there, they will help create an individualized plan for their graduation and post-graduation goals. The second program that we offer, in a sense, is our cultural enrichment. We have 4 individual cultural programs. And through these spaces and programs, the important thing is to create a sense of belonging for students and to create opportunities where they can build community, where they can build leadership skills and connect with peers. Those 2 things are going to be critical for any student of diverse, underrepresented backgrounds to feel connected on campus and thrive.
Awesome, thank you, perfect. And now I'm going to kind of turn it right back over to the students, actually. So Makai, what's your experience been like with CMASS? You know, if you could, she just gave kind of a broad overview on all those services. So what's your experience been on that student side?
Yeah, so my first introduction to CMASS, I believe, was through CMASS's email. So I received an email from CMASS. I was partnered with the success coach, Willie Pope, and I would always receive emails from Willie Pope and also like other emails about events going on. And so one of the events that I always remember since my freshman year is Cultural Connections. That usually happens when we first arrive on campus during that week, where students are kind of like being introduced to all the different organizations and resources on campus. And as I've continued to be involved on different student organizations, we'd usually present and have like our poster boards and like be there to talk to students at this Cultural Connections event as well as just being part of student organizations with the African Student Association, Cape Verdean Student Alliance. We'd usually hold our meetings in the Malcolm X Cultural Center in the Southwest Residential area. We'd also do like dance workshops and things in the Latinx Cultural Center in Hamden. And then as I started to work, eventually started to work for CMASS as a programming assistant, I worked in the JWECC. So that has been a great experience with me to also connect with the Indigenous community here on UMass. And some other ways I've been involved recently, as I'm now getting from my junior to senior year, thinking about grad school, I was introduced through a friend to the Each One Reach One program for graduate advising. So that has been really helpful to have someone look over my resumes and help to prepare me for success in applying for graduate school. So CMASS has really it's been part of my experience since the beginning, and I'm still here all the way through.
That's awesome, perfect. And this is actually a good transition. You know, he was just talking, Wilma, Makai was just talking about, you know, how students get, or how he got involved, but how do other students get involved? You know, how does that process kind of work?
Yes, absolutely. So it really starts at the point where a student is filling out that common application. Once we get demographic data from that application, students that identify as a student of color get automatically into our program. And the first thing that they will hear from us, it's in August, they'll receive an email from their success coach. And so Makai mentioned Willie Pope, he's one of our coaches currently. And so from there, they should reach back to their coach and schedule an appointment to meet them and continue that, building on that relationship. Once they are part of the program, they will start receiving weekly electronic bulletins. And so through that, we let the students know of all the programs that the cultural centers are putting together. And the 4 cultural centers, Makai mentioned 3, the other one that I don't believe we mentioned is the Yuri Kochayama Cultural Center. So remember, you know, for students that are admitted to the university and have that intention to enroll, in August, we will be reaching out to them and presenting them with this information, you know, the information and the resources through CMASS. I think another key point that Makai brought up is that he heard about the program through peers. And so the importance of connecting to peers, whether it is through our cultural programs or through the student organizations, it's critical for that sense of belonging, because you will hear from them about resources that they're utilizing that may be applicable to other students as well. So the Each One Reach One theme, it does extend throughout the campus. It is about informing others and caring for one another.
Perfect. And Josh, I'm going to kind of put that question back to you. How did you get involved in CMASS? What was that process like for you?
For me, well, I definitely had been getting emails like since the start of the semester, but as a freshman, you're not used to checking your emails. You're getting a lot of them, so they kind of get buried. So the way I found out about CMASS was I went to the campus center and I saw this huge sign for the Cultural Connections event that Makai was talking about earlier. And I was like, oh, this sounds really, really cool. Why not? And I went there, and then that's how I found out about CMASS, was through that really, really awesome like event that they held.
Perfect. And Aaliyah, I'm going to ask you that same question. What's your experience been like, and how did you get involved?
Definitely. I feel like for me, I'm actually a transfer student. So initially, when I first came to UMass, I initially got assigned a success coach. Like Willie Pope is my success coach, and from there, it's kind of how I got involved. And from then, I kind of always kept up with it, and like we check in even now. I transferred last year, but I always check in with him. Kind of keeps me on track and like what I need to get done, or like what I want to get done in my college curriculum as well. But not only that, I was able to work under Wilma last fall, working in the cultural centers, doing research on how they all got founded, like in the origin of it and how it got started to where we are now today.
Perfect. Willie Pope is getting a lot of love here. I love it. And I also just want to point out too, I think it's really important. She mentioned that she's a transfer student. So, you don't have to be, this isn't a program geared just for freshmen. This is all years, all different, students that are coming in. So I think it's really, I'm glad you mentioned that actually. It's really important. Okay, so switching gears a little bit. Ashia, I'm going to put this question to you. When is the best time for students to engage with CMASS? We just kind of touched upon it, being transfer students and freshmen and first years. And so, in your opinion, what is that best time for students to engage?
I think a lot of them touched upon it, but starting very early, as soon as you come, we have everything for first year students. We have areas to navigate you through sophomore year, junior year, senior year, if you're a transfer student. And so our success coaches are wonderful, where they're kind of like this extra mentor, like the word coach, think of like your football coach, your dance team coach, your step team coach, swimming coach. They're everything for you. They're the tough lover, and the one that you get to sit there and just eat popcorn with at the same time and give you all that great guidance that you need to be successful. So getting started early through success coach and have that person navigate you with campus resources, university policy, and you're starting to figure out who you are and your identity. And that success coach can help you change from who you were in high school or who you were at your other institution to who you're going to be at UMass, which could be multiple people by the time you graduate. So the earlier, the better. And then from there, start engaging with our cultural centers and our other events, whether it be our academic events or social engaging events or just our civic engagement events that we're doing, and finding your place in your calling within CMASS. So the earlier, the better. But if you find it the first year, you're overwhelmed, we're here for you whenever. So.
Which can definitely happen that first year.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so Makai, this question is going to be directed towards you. What would you tell a prospective student about CMASS? If you were to have to give them like a rundown or kind of like the main key points, since you are a current student, what would you tell a prospective student?
Well, for me personally, I would say now that I'm thinking about it and engaging with this question, CMASS has really been part of everything that I've done, even with other jobs that I've worked in. When I worked as a peer advisor in international programmings, I did like collaborations with CMASS to talk about underrepresented students and studying abroad and the opportunities and resources. So partnering with them, having great flyers made as well for our events. Even when I worked as a new student orientation leader, worked with like Dave Neely, Michelle Youngblood, and others to present and talk about CMASS events. So they're really everywhere. I didn't mention this before, but I actually got my first paid internship the summer after my freshman year from one of those CMASS emails. So like ever since then, once I landed that, I was like, I'm checking these emails like every single time I see them. I was like, I can get like great opportunities off of this. And so, yeah, those emails, like just being around, and all the faculty and staff that work for CMASS are just genuinely just amazing people. Like as I've talked about, in every single job department I've worked with, I've been connected with CMASS this entire time. So definitely maintaining those connections, building those connections, meeting people, even the events. Like a part of my identity, I know a lot of people mentioned their backgrounds. I'm Cape Verdean and Wampanoag, but I've also attended like lots of great events, like at the Yuri Kochiyama Center. They had a really funny event for, it was a film festival, and I attended the film festivals with friends and got to see like some of the guest speakers they brought. So there's so many different opportunities. So definitely take advantage of that and just definitely keep up with those emails, as well as just talking to peers and other people and finding out about all the resources available.
That's perfect. I love that you said that CMASS is everywhere. I love that. And this is actually a perfect transition. Ashia, he kind of just, I mean, he definitely gave the student perspective on this, but, you know, why is involvement so important in CMASS, you know, here at UMass? I know he kind of just summed that up in the student way, but, you know, in your opinion, what would you say?
We want to hear from you. We want to hear your voice. We are here to help you navigate. Think of us as a compass to help you navigate to what direction to be a global citizen. Our goal is not just to have you graduate, but just to be better in the world and prepared for the world. So we want your involvement. We want to hear what works and what doesn't work and what you're missing. A lot of us are looking for community and solidarity, and you're going to find that in CMASS. You know, we're so grateful if you're picking UMass to come here. For folks who are thinking, I should have went to this kind of school, an HBCU or Hispanic serving institution, we have all that. We have that holistic culture right here within the cultural centers. As you can tell, folks are mentioning Willie Pope over and over again, also a man of color who's going to help you build how to navigate being a man of color on campus or in the world, or a Latina, or someone who identifies as they, them, theirs. We have all of that in one area for you to be better and to continue to be revolutionary. So, and it's important because when you graduate, you get to pull all these, you know, times that you've done, you know, an internship or a fellow and bring that to your career. So it's very important to get involved because this is your institution. At the end of the day, it's your degree.
I love that you said that. That's something we as admissions counselors tell students all the time is when we're reviewing your application, you know, we want to see those involvements because we want you to continue those here. So we're not just making that up when we say that. I like that you reiterated that. It is very important here at UMass to get involved in really anywhere you go. But and then Aaliyah, you know, same sort of question, you know, why do you think that involvement is so important in CMASS here at UMass?
Definitely. I feel like as a transfer student, it's kind of like you kind of feel like you're lost a little bit when you enter in that big new realm. But I think for me, like as a first gen, like Afro-Caribbean female attending like such a large university, I feel like CMASS has genuinely like have such a welcoming community. And I feel like you've been able to build like so many opportunities and build strong networks and connections. And all the staff and students at CMASS are so supportive. And every step of the way, they're always going to be there for you. And there's so many different ways you can get involved. Like, for example, I think this Friday, there's going to be a cultural connections a night where you can like connect with different people of different backgrounds, like explore your roots and stuff like that. So I think no matter what, there are so many different events for everyone, and that I'm sure like no matter what, you can always find your fit too.
Perfect. So switching gears just a little bit, but Ashia, back to you. How is CMASS different from other college programs, you know, or other colleges, universities that have programs out there? You know, how is it different from those programs?
So I mentioned before, you know, the calling of being revolutionary. So what does that mean to you? How will you be revolutionary at UMass? And so how we're different is that we work very close with our recognized student organizations. We work very closely with our academic certificate programs, like our Indigenous and Native program, Afro-Am. We have a Latino Caribbean certificate program. Everything we do in tandem, it's co-curricular. And so not many institutions can say that, or they might say that, but actually don't actually do it. We can say it because we can prove through our numbers and through our events that the students are talking about that we make it happen. We walk the walk and talk the talk. And it's amazing to see how Greek life is able to be in the multicultural centers, or the Malcolm X Center, I should say, or the LACC, which are our Latinx Center, as well as having an academic program come in and hold a seminar or a study session, or when we have our student tours, how the tour guides are talking about the experience in the cultural centers or with an advisor that crosses every area. We bridge that gap between student affairs and academic affairs, so you have one linear experience. And like I said, many students or many institutions can advertise that, but UMass, we actually implement all that we're saying. And so I think that's what makes us revolutionary and the best.
I love that too. And, you know, I think a big concern that a lot of people have is that, we are a larger, public research institution here in Massachusetts. And I think kind of what Aaliyah was saying is you can kind of feel a little lost sometimes, or you might think you're going to feel a little lost. And so I think everything you're talking about is hopefully helping, subside those fears, that you're not just going to be a number here, and you have these resources that you can reach out to, and whether that be all these different centers or events that you've talked about, but different advisors and mentors and things like that. So I think I'm gathering that. I hope that the students are gathering that too, that this is, you won't just be a number here. Okay, so we're kind of wrapping up in a little bit. We've got a couple more questions here. So Wilma, how can our prospective students find more information about CMASS? Where should they go? What resources, if they have questions or they want more information, what would you advise them to do?
Absolutely. I think doing the research as they would for any other subject while they are continuing their studies in high school, it's going through our website, www.umass.edu/CMASS. And that website, we have a great colleague. I'm going to mention all of them so that they don't get jealous because Willie's getting so much highlight here. Chona Lauyan is our wonderful assistant director for marketing and publicity, and she manages that website. So she keeps it up to date with all our programs. You will find there our contact information, our social media channels. Feel free to follow those because a lot of the information goes out that way as well. And another way to connect is just emailing our general email, which Chona will also read and forward to the appropriate staff member, and that is cmas@umass.edu. I also want to give a shout out to Michelle Youngblood, another wonderful coach, and Doris Clemens, another coach. Ciara Rodriguez is our program coordinator. She works closely with Ashia and the cultural centers, and Marwa Atef Amer, who works with the Each One Rich One mentoring program, preparing students to go to graduate school. So the team is about 6 or 7, and we have about 8 undergraduate students. Makai is one of them that are working with our cultural centers, listening to students, developing programs that speak to the students' needs and wants at the moment. And together with Ashia and Sierra, they are also complementing the programs with ways that are going to help them develop into the students that they want to be. So to your question, anyhow, just summarizing that, check out our website and feel free to email anytime. There's always someone available to connect with you.
I will say, I think that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that students, prospective students, can sometimes feel nervous reaching out to departments, specific departments across college campuses, and we always encourage them to do that. And you've been a great department to work with, on our side. So we always push them to you. So I'm glad that it came from your mouth and not just ours, that you are willing to work with them and talk to them and answer their questions. So that's obviously very helpful. All right, so kind of wrapping up here, I love asking this question as kind of a conclusion, because I know I know that prospective students love hearing from current students. So I'm going to ask each of our students, what's been your favorite part about CMASS? If you have like a favorite event or a service or even like a memory, what's just been your favorite experience so far with CMASS? So I'm going to start with Josh.
I'd say I think my favorite part about CMASS is the fact that they introduced me to my now home of friends here at UMass. Because when I got here, I didn't really know that many other Latinos here, specifically like Brazilians or anything else like that. And I went to the first ever event that they threw my freshman year, and I found everyone who I'm now friends with. So I'm always grateful for that.
That's awesome. I love that. Makai, go ahead.
I'd have to say the same as Joshua. Like all of the friends and connections, both not just students, but also professionally, have not predominantly been done through CMASS, whether it's through the cultural centers, directly through clubs, or just other extended events. I really found a home away from home in these cultural centers and a lot of great resources. So when I talk about just like everything I've done and just like leaving this institution, knowing that CMASS has played a huge role in my development as a student, personally, professionally, and academically, that's really huge for me. And as you mentioned, like all the names that were mentioned, Ashia, Ciara, Wilma, Chona, Marwa, all these names, like these aren't just like names for me. These are people that like I actually know, can put a name to a face and like know their personalities, and they know me. So like building, you can actually have a real connection. That's the thing I think I would like to drive home to students that they miss. You can have real connections with faculty, professors, and other people. So don't take advantage of that and don't take it for granted, because it's really important, not just as a student, but even beyond.
And Makai, you're the senior here, so I think you're feeling that senior year ending feelings. I'm feeling that you're feeling that from across the computer, yeah. And also Makai and Josh are hiding that they are friends outside of this too. We didn't pick that on purpose actually. So when they're saying that, but it's actually real. They're actually friends, you know, outside of the Zoom call that we're doing. So so what they were saying, you know, was firsthand. All right, Aaliyah, go ahead.
No, definitely. I definitely agree with both Joshua and Makai and what they said. I feel like CMASS really allowed me to find that home away from home, helped me build connections, especially coming into such a new environment. But again, I feel like CMASS is just a welcoming environment to all students. And then if you feel unsure, like CMASS is definitely going to be there for you. I think my favorite event had to be this past semester with the 10th CMASS celebration. And it was amazing to hear so many different stories and like seeing all these people from like different graduating classes all just come together. Even though it was virtual, so many people, you could feel the love and like how people just got back together, and it's so nice to see that. And I think my favorite part of that was definitely hearing, if you have the chance, Professor Bracey telling his story. He's a really, really cool professor, but definitely have a chance to take class. I would definitely recommend it.
What does he teach?
I take his Afro-Am studies with Willie Pope, actually.
Another shout out for Willie. That's too funny. Perfect. Well, Wilma and Ashia, was there anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up here?
Follow us on Instagram, UMass_CMASS. And you can follow our cultural centers too. I won't list them all because they all have different names, but they're attached to the UMass_CMASS page. So follow us on Instagram and find us on Facebook.
Yes. Absolutely. And do not be afraid to ask questions. The college experience is going to push you to grow. Don't be afraid of that. That's part of the process. And so everyone around you does come from a place of care and wanting to see you through from the moment you enter to the moment you graduate. So please don't turn help away.
Perfect. I love that. Same thing. I want to echo that too on the admissions side. You know, you can see that these sessions are showing actual people. There's actual humans here working behind these computers and, you know, reading your applications, and we're here to help you. That's what we're here for. So I want to echo, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. Like I said, this session is being recorded. So if you missed something, you missed that email address or the web pages or the Instagrams, you can play it back. We'll have it up on our webpage and our YouTube channel. And like I said, reach out if you have any questions. I want to thank all of my panelists here for speaking about CMASS today. I really enjoyed it. And for our students, I also appreciate them stepping up and sharing their experience. And thank you so much for listening. And I hope you all have a great afternoon. So thank you.